The day my two best friends confessed they loved me, the sun was shining so brightly that it felt almost cruel. It was the kind of warm, golden afternoon when the world looked peaceful from a distance, when children laughed near the college fountain, leaves trembled softly in the breeze, and nobody could tell that three hearts were about to break at the same time. I had always believed that friendship was the safest place in the world, but that day, standing between Aariz and Saira under the old neem tree behind our campus library, I realized even the safest places can catch fire. Before the story begins, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the kind of love that can change people without destroying them, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Lifeline Hub. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that may need them the most. My name is Rayan, and for most of my college life, I was known as the quiet one between two storms. Aariz was laughter, confidence, and sunlight in human form. He could enter a classroom late and somehow make the professor smile before scolding him. Saira was the opposite, calm like rain on a window, sharp-minded, observant, and the kind of person who remembered the smallest details about people. Together, we were impossible to separate. Students called us the triangle, teachers called us trouble, and I called them home. Our friendship began on the first day of college during orientation, when I accidentally walked into the wrong lecture hall and sat through 20 minutes of a business seminar even though I was enrolled in media studies. Aariz was the one who leaned over and whispered that I looked too confused to belong there, and Saira was the one who quietly slid the correct campus map toward me without making me feel stupid. By lunch, we were sharing fries. By the end of the week, we were saving seats for each other. By the end of the semester, people stopped inviting one of us anywhere unless all three names were included. Most of our days happened under sunlight. Morning tea at the roadside stall outside campus, assignments finished on library stairs, silly arguments in the cafeteria, and long walks through the garden path where the flowers always looked tired but stubborn. Aariz dreamed of becoming a filmmaker. Saira wanted to become a writer. I wanted to make documentaries about ordinary people with extraordinary wounds, though back then I did not understand that the first real story I would witness would be my own. For 2 years, nothing changed, or maybe everything changed quietly and I was too comfortable to notice. Aariz started waiting for me even when his classes ended earlier. Saira began bringing an extra pen because she knew I always lost mine. Aariz laughed too loudly at my jokes. Saira looked away whenever someone teased us. I thought it was friendship growing deeper, roots spreading underground. I never imagined those roots were wrapping around hearts. The day everything broke began with our final year media project. We had spent weeks filming a short documentary about an old cinema in the city that was about to be demolished. That morning, the three of us met there under bright daylight, carrying cameras, water bottles, notebooks, and all the dreams we thought we still had time to understand. Aariz was unusually quiet, adjusting the camera again and again even though it was already perfect. Saira kept rewriting the same line in her notebook. I noticed the silence between them but blamed it on stress. After filming, we returned to campus before noon. The sun was high, students were everywhere, and the world felt too public for secrets. We sat beneath the neem tree behind the library, our usual place, where shadows moved slowly over the grass. Aariz suddenly said there was something he needed to tell me. Before he could continue, Saira closed her notebook and said she needed to say something too. I laughed nervously, thinking they were planning some prank, but neither of them smiled. Aariz spoke first. His voice shook in a way I had never heard before. He said that somewhere between our first-year tea breaks and final-year deadlines, I had become more than a friend to him. He said he tried to ignore it because he did not want to ruin us, but every time he imagined graduation, every time he imagined leaving college, the only thing that scared him was losing me without ever telling the truth. I could not breathe. Before I could respond, Saira's eyes filled with tears. She said she had loved me quietly for a long time, not because she expected anything, but because I made her feel seen in a world where she had learned to disappear. She said she had stayed silent because she thought Aariz and I had a bond she should never interrupt. Then she looked at Aariz, and the pain in her face told me she had not expected his confession either. In that moment, I felt like the sun had turned cold. Two people I loved more than almost anyone were standing in front of me, offering me their hearts, and all I could feel was fear. Not because their love was wrong, but because any answer I gave would wound someone. If I chose one, I would lose the other. If I chose neither, I might lose both. So I did the weakest thing a person can do when love demands honesty. I said nothing. The silence stretched until Aariz stepped back with a broken smile and said it was okay. Saira wiped her tears quickly, pretending she was fine. Then they both walked away in different directions, leaving me under the tree where we had once planned our futures together. The campus noise continued around me, but it felt far away, like life had moved on without asking permission. After that day, our friendship did not end loudly. It faded in small, painful ways. Aariz stopped waiting outside my classroom. Saira stopped sending me morning reminders about assignments. Our group chat became a museum of old jokes nobody touched anymore. When we had to edit the documentary together, we worked politely, like strangers sharing a table. The worst part was that both of them still cared. Aariz still left my favorite tea near my bag without saying a word. Saira still corrected my script margins in red ink because she knew I would forget. Their kindness hurt more than anger ever could. I tried to convince myself that time would fix everything, but time only made the emptiness louder. College looked the same, yet every corner had become a memory. The cafeteria table where Aariz once spilled juice on my notes. The garden path where Saira once told me she feared being ordinary. The library steps where we had promised that no matter what happened, we would never become the kind of friends who drift apart after graduation. One afternoon, while reviewing our final documentary, I found old behind-the-scenes footage Aariz had recorded without telling us. In one clip, Saira was laughing as she tried to fix my collar before an interview. In another, Aariz was holding the reflector above my head, complaining dramatically about the heat while smiling like he would do it forever. Watching those clips, I finally understood something that should have been obvious from the beginning. Love had not destroyed our friendship. Fear had. Their honesty had been brave. My silence had been the wound. The next day, I asked them to meet me at the old cinema we had filmed. It was daytime again, bright and restless, with workers already marking the walls for demolition. Aariz arrived first, hands in his pockets, looking tired but guarded. Saira came a few minutes later, holding her notebook against her chest like armor. For a moment, we stood there in the sunlight, surrounded by peeling posters and broken ticket windows, three best friends pretending they were not afraid. I told them I was sorry. Not for being unable to love them the way they hoped, because feelings cannot be forced, but for disappearing when they needed honesty. I told Aariz that his love did not make me uncomfortable, and I told Saira that her confession did not make our memories strange. I told them both that I loved them deeply, but not in a way that could choose one heart over another. I loved them as the two people who had become my family when I did not even know I needed one. Aariz looked away first, blinking hard. Saira's lips trembled, but she did not cry. For a while, none of us spoke. Then Aariz said he hated that my answer hurt, but he hated the thought of losing us even more. Saira said healing would take time, and maybe things would never be exactly the same, but she did not want our story to end with silence. That was the first time in weeks I felt air enter my lungs properly. We did not magically become okay that day. Real healing is not a movie scene where music rises and pain disappears. For weeks, we had awkward conversations, careful boundaries, and moments when one of them needed space. Aariz stopped using jokes to hide pain. Saira stopped pretending she was always fine. I learned to stop avoiding difficult emotions just because I did not know how to fix them. Slowly, honestly, painfully, we rebuilt what had cracked. Graduation arrived on a clear morning. The campus was decorated with flowers, parents filled the courtyard, and sunlight spilled across our gowns. Our documentary won the department award. When our names were called, the three of us walked onto the stage together. Aariz held the trophy, Saira held the certificate, and I stood between them, not as someone being chosen, but as someone finally brave enough to stand in truth. After the ceremony, we returned to the neem tree one last time. Aariz had been accepted into a film internship in another city. Saira had received a writing fellowship. I had been offered a chance to assist a documentary team. We were all leaving, but this time, leaving did not feel like losing. Aariz smiled and said some friendships survive because people are honest before it is too late. Saira added that love is not always about ending up together, sometimes love is letting people remain whole. Years later, whenever I think of college, I do not remember the confession as the day everything ended. I remember it as the day we learned that love has many forms, and not all of them ask for possession. Some love becomes romance. Some becomes memory. Some becomes the quiet courage to stay kind even when your heart is hurting. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in true friendship, and comment your thoughts below. Your support helps Lifeline Hub bring more emotional stories to people who may be carrying silent feelings of their own. Special request: comment "True friendship heals" if you believe that honest hearts can survive even the hardest truths. In the end, we were still three best friends, but not because nothing had changed. We remained best friends because everything changed, and we chose kindness anyway. Under that bright daytime sky, we learned that the strongest relationships are not the ones that never break. They are the ones where people pick up the broken pieces gently, even with trembling hands, and decide that love, in whatever form it remains, is still worth protecting.